In this video, we're going to review how to create an Azure Blob Storage account and an Azure Blob Storage container, an SAS token, which is a shared access signature, as well as an Azure Document Intelligence instance, which is previously known as Azure Form Recognizer. So let's get started. First, you need to head to portal.azure.com. And inside of here, we're going to go to Storage Accounts. Now we're going to create a new storage account. And inside of it, I'll just give it a name. Now, if you're following along, you're not going to be able to use this exact same name. This resource will be deleted when this video is done, but you will be able to create your own. And because these names are global, you should be choosing a name that's unique to your specific install. All right, so we're going to click Review, and then Create. Now we're going to wait for this storage account to be finished. Okay, it looks complete. So now we're going to go to our resource. And in here, the first thing we need to do is allow anonymous access for blobs. And this is in the configuration section underneath settings. So we're going to choose enabled, and we're going to choose save. Now this setting can take up to a minute to take effect. So we're going to wait for that time before moving on to the next step. All right, so we're going to choose refresh to make sure that the setting has taken effect. It has. And now the next step is to create a container. So we're going to navigate to our container, create a new container. And if you want, you can give it the same name, but this can have a different name. And again, if you're following along, this container is not going to exist at the end of this video, so you're not going to be able to use this exact container name. In here, we're going to choose that we have container access, and if you want, you can also choose the blob access. So we're going to create that. All right, so far we have an Azure Blob Storage account, and in there we have an Azure Blob Storage container. Now the next step is to get an SAS token, which is called a shared access token. So we navigate into the container and go into shared access tokens. And then we're going to create a new token. Now the permissions that we need are going to need to be add, create, write, and delete. If you're also troubleshooting, you should consider using list, as this will let you troubleshoot by just listing yourself with that same shared access signature any blobs or blob containers that you have created. All right. The start and end, these are going to be specific to the time range that you want to allow for this shared access signature. I'm going to set mine to expire for a few hours from now. And again, if you're following along, this token won't work for you. You're going to need to create your own token. All right. So I've generated an SAS token and URL, and we're just going to copy this token for later. So copy and paste this and just put it somewhere secure because we're going to be using it immediately in the Quality Inspector setup. So let's configure in the Quality Inspector what we've got so far. So we're going to navigate back to Business Central. And inside of the storage account, we're going to put in the storage account that we just created, which is this example. So we're going to put in this example storage account in here. The container name is going to be the container that we just created. So we're going to navigate back, go to our containers. We gave the container the same name. So we're going to put that in there as well. And then the SAS token that we just created, we're going to paste inside of here. All right, so we've just finished the Azure Blob Storage configuration. So what's this part is going to be used for is when you're uploading an image or a document for it to be analyzed with Azure Document Intelligence, it's going to be using the SAS token, the container, and the storage account here, both to create the image temporarily as well as to delete it when it's done. This is then going to be used to give that information into Azure Document Intelligence, and that's the next step we're going to configure. So now we're going to navigate back to portal.azure.com, and we're going to navigate to Document Intelligence. We're going to create a new Document Intelligence. And let's give it the same name that we just created. It doesn't need to be. It can be any existing one. And if you're just playing with the system, or if you don't have a lot of pages that you're going to be scanning, you should have access to the free F0. This is going to be 500 pages per month, or 20 calls per minute. And this is going to be good enough for most demonstration systems or training. Once you've exceeded that, then Azure has another pricing tier which allows multiple calls in there. So for now, we're just going to choose the free one, and we're going to review and create it. And if you don't see the free one, it's possible you've got another Document Intelligence instance, since you're only allowed to have one free Document Intelligence instance deployed. So we're going to review and create this. All right, now we're going to wait for this to be deployed. All right, it's finished deploying. So now we're going to go to the resource. And inside of the Azure Document Intelligence, we're going to see the keys and endpoint. So we're going to click there. So where it says endpoint, we're going to copy this. And then inside of the Quality Inspector setup, we're going to paste that into the endpoint page. We're going to navigate back again. We're going to copy the key. It doesn't matter which one. You can use key 1 or key 2. We're going to paste it into the key here. Now the model can be left blank, and for most circumstances, this seems to do a pretty good job of analyzing most documents. If you're having trouble analyzing your documents, then inside of Azure Document Intelligence, you can create a specific model that is trained for your specific quality inspector. And if you do that, then you can put in the model name here. If you don't have that, or if you're just configuring a demonstration system, then you can leave the model blank. Okay, so now the next step is to test this and make sure that it's all connected. So there's two features we're going to use to test this. The first is to scan a document to make sure that it can read the fields and create a template from that. And then we're going to also use a feature to test it by scanning in the same document and fill out the values. So to do that, we're going to close this, and then we're going to head over to the templates. We're going to create a new template. Example in November. We're just going to connect it up to any table in the system. We're just going to use the item ledger entry for now. We're going to close that off. All right. So now let's add in fields to this template. So we're going to choose Add Fields to this template. Then we're going to choose Detect Fields from my picture. We're going to choose Next. And then we're going to put in this image file. This image file is a very basic scenario, so we have some example text on here. So we're capturing the height, the length, the width, and the weight. And it looks like it's finished testing. So inside of here, we're going to choose which fields we want to be included. So we're going to choose the height, the length, the width, and the weight. And then we're going to choose finish. All right. So now we have a quality inspection template that has the values that have been filled out from an existing test document. So now we're going to create a test so that we've actually got an instance of a quality inspection test, and then we're going to print them out. So let's create a test. We're going to choose our record. For this example, we're just choosing any sample data. All right, so now we have our quality inspection test with the height, length, width, and weight filled out. What we're now going to do is we're going to simulate filling this out as a person and then scanning this in. So to do that, we're going to use the inspection report. And we see that it's got these values filled out. So we're going to go ahead and print those out. Okay, so we have those values filled out now. So now we're going to fill them in as a human. So I'm going to write in some values. And we're now going to scan that in. So to do that, we're going to navigate to the home, choose scan page. And you've got two different options. So the first one is if you already have the picture uploaded previously, similar to what we did with the templates, then you can use it that way. Alternatively, you can also just scan it directly with the camera. And that's what we're going to do in this option. So we're going to scan the page with the camera. We're going to allow Business Central to see. All right, so there's our document. We're going to use that picture. So we've assigned this to ourselves. So now it's going to be uploading the image to Azure Blob. And then once it has that image, it's now going to send it over to Azure Document Intelligence, and then it's going to detect the values. So we can see in here it did a pretty good job. So it found the 34, the 40, the 52, as well as the 63. It made a small issue with the slash, so we're just going to remove that. Then choose OK. And then we can see the values filled in. And if you want, when you're using the option to take a picture, it'll also be as an actual document attachment as well. All right, so this was an end-to-end example of how to set up and configure an Azure Blob Storage account, an Azure Blob Storage container, as well as a Document Intelligence instance, and then how to use those values into Quality Inspector, as well as how to use the key features that are using the Document Intelligence features inside of the Quality Inspector.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content.